Hello, and welcome to Thoroughly Enthused. This is a podcast about anime and video games.
Yes, it is.
Amongst other things sometimes.
Yes, every now and then.
Yeah. So, my name is Nick, and I'm one of your hosts. I watch more anime than I play games, but I'm going to be playing some games throughout this series.
Yes. And I am Armando. You could call me Mondo. I am 25 years old, and I love video games, specifically RPGs, but I'm an appreciator of all video games. And I'm just actually getting back into anime as well, which is Nick's going to guide me on this journey of the rekindling of my love with anime. So, yeah. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of this podcast, I just want to say thank you guys, everybody, for the feedback that you've given on our Discord channel. We heard you guys out. You know, we did a little bit of restructuring and talked back and forth to how we're going to go about this. So if you guys have any recommendations, any feedback, hit us up on our social media or our Discord. We really appreciate everything that you guys say.
Yeah, and as you can tell, we upgraded our quality quite a bit.
Yes, just a little bit, you know. This is honestly really humbling to have a setup like this, and I want to thank our good friend Frankie for helping us out with this. I mean, this is definitely an upgrade to that video gaming headset that we did in our pilot podcast, which you can check out on our YouTube. Just a heads up there.
Yeah. So without further ado, let's get right into it.
All right, and we're going to actually start off with anime, going over a little bit of what we've been watching over the past couple of weeks. Nick, did you want to lead us off here?
Yeah, so I decided to rewatch Gate because Gate is an anime that basically it's an isekai style anime.
Okay,
so
and we'll talk about
world.
we'll talk about that a little bit later. But it's an isekai, and
and I forgot the ending to it, so I rewatched it.
Okay,
it's about 24 episodes, 12 episodes per season.
Okay, very nice.
And I forgot the ending because it didn't end.
well, before we even get to that, so what is Gate all about here?
Gate is a anime about basically a gate opens up in Japan.
Okay.
And people from another world start invading. They're riding wyverns, and there's like pigmen and stuff. They start slaughtering people.
You know I love my dragons.
Yeah.
My wyverns.
Yeah. So the police force and everything successfully fights them off.
Mm-hmm.
And then they quarantine the gate for a few months. And then they go in. And they're fighting against this empire in this other world. And they can move freely between our world and that world through the gate. And basically they're just trying to... the Japanese government is interested in the gate because they want to have access to all these resources that are untapped.
Humans doing human things.
Yeah, but the Japanese self-defense force, they're going in there and they're trying to create peace. So there's a little bit of conflict.
All right. Okay.
Mostly on our side, but the people they're fighting have medieval style gear, so it's kind of overpowering when they're fighting tanks and helicopters and shit.
I sense some parallels to actual human history, so that sounds a little interesting. I might need to give that a check, give that a look. I know that season 1 and 2 is already out, but
I hear rumors that there's going to be a season 3 this year, possibly. But there's no confirmed date yet.
Okay, so I might need to get into that. And you guys should probably check out season 1 and 2, and maybe when season 3 comes out, you'll be primed and ready to go.
Yeah.
So if you guys listened to the pilot podcast, you would know that I had a little report that I had to do, and regarding an anime, but I in between my time of watching the anime, I decided to do a little diversion, just a little palate refresher before getting back into my report, and I stumbled upon Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
And for about 48 hours, my life was completely consumed by this anime, and I went deep. It was so. For those who don't know, which if you're listening to a podcast regarding anime, you probably already know about Demon Slayer here, but I'm a newbie. I haven't heard about it, and so
I'd actually watched it before you even told me that you had started it.
Yeah. No, I was just kind of looking up like what recent animes I should watch. Just to dip my feet a little bit into what's the new, and Demon Slayer, of course, was a suggestion, and oh my god, it's so good. So Demon Slayer is about a teenage boy actually, named Tanjiro, and who becomes a demon slayer after his family is slaughtered, and the only person living amongst the massacre is his sister Nezuko, and but she has turned to a demon. And
that opening sequence for the first episode
it
really sucks you in.
Oh, for sure. And see, that's the problem. It sucked me right in, and like I said before, for like 2 days straight, I was just binging this hardcore, and I can't gush over it enough. I just love everything about it. I mean, for those who've seen it, the kimonos that they wear, the patterns are so beautiful. The story is very interesting, and the action scenes are just gorgeous.
Yeah, I was telling you earlier, the cinematography for that anime is fantastic.
It is so good, and just seeing the different kind of like breathing formations, and just like I don't know, I could just go on forever, and I might actually go on forever about it in one of these podcasts later on. But to keep it a little bit brief, I just love this podcast all around, and so in between my report, I watched this anime. And speaking of report, I think it is time for Mondo's Super Duper Anime Report Quest, which is
excellent.
Which is so basically, to give a little background, Nick and I are trying to get back into our love for our respective genres, or the opposite of our respective genres. Yeah. So basically, I'm trying to get back into anime, and
I'm trying to get back into gaming.
Get back into gaming. So what we've decided to do is give each other a little bit of homework to get us back into the groove of things.
And we'll alternate each week. So Armando will take on an anime, and then the next week I'll take on a game.
Exactly.
And we'll report the following week.
Yeah. And so I went first during the pilot podcast, and I had to do a report on an anime, and the anime was Re:Zero. And Nick, do you want me to talk a little bit about this anime, or since you give the report, would you like to break it down?
No. You should tell your experience so far.
Okay, yeah, for sure. So to start off, for those who don't know, Re:Zero starts off with a teenage boy named Subaru, and he is going into a convenience store. And as he gets out of the convenience store, he blinks. He basically blinks, right?
Yeah.
And next thing you know, he's in a fantasy world. And he gets dropped in like
I don't know if he get hit by a truck like the typical isekai.
Yeah. This is a little bit. They just went straight to the point. They said he blinked and boom, there he is. And so he gets in a little bit of a mess early on in this fantasy world, and gets helped by a mysterious beauty named Satella. And she's looking for something that's been stolen from her, and he has decided that he's going to help her out. Yeah. And so they team up, and they're trying to locate the stolen thing, the stolen insignia, and they both get killed. They both get murdered.
Straight up.
Like sliced up.
Their guts were beautiful, I guess.
And that was the end of the series. It was a great series. It lasted one whole episode right there. They died, the end.
Yeah.
No, but what actually happens is all of a sudden Subaru reawakens in a familiar scene where he's picking up some apples. and he is just kind of freaking out. Actually, does he waking up with the apples or?
Yeah,
he does.
But he wasn't freaking out at first. He was confused.
You're right. He was confused. But as he goes through the same scenario over and over again, he realizes he's kind of stuck in a loop, right? Until he can figure out how not to die, pretty much. And that's kind of the premise of this anime.
Yeah, but let's go a little bit further, and I want to give a spoiler warning.
Yes, spoiler warning. If this sounds interesting to you, I suggest just watching it yourself. If you've already watched it, from here on out, I will be kind of talking about my thoughts, the good, the bad, and so on and so forth. So, spoiler warning right now. We'll give a couple seconds just in case they're scrambling to press pause.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go. You're done.
Okay, let me pull...
Welcome back.
Welcome back. And so let me pull up my notes here. So I would actually, before even starting off, I would like to preface this with this realization I had as I'm getting back into anime. And as everybody knows, every type of anime has their respective tropes. And isekais, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Isekais also is one of these like subgenres of anime. And ReZero actually falls under that subgenre. And can you elaborate a little bit on what isekai kind of is about,
it's
the essence of it?
It's kind of it's known as like another world anime style.
Okay.
So basically, people get transported to another world, or they have access to go to another world.
For sure.
I know that a lot of anime lately, they're kind of subvert that by doing like virtual reality MMO style instead of another world.
Yeah, exactly. And it tends to be like a teenage boy or somebody that isn't really, just very average, and they become just super overpowered in some way.
Yeah.
Actually, this is actually goes against that common trope. But in most isekais, this protagonist all of a sudden becomes really overpowered or becomes some special somebody in the whole theme of that anime.
Yeah.
And so ReZero falls into that, and I realized through this that isekai in general is not really my most favorite style of anime. There's a lot of commonalities, a lot of tropes that happen that I kind of cringe at a little bit sometimes.
Yeah.
That being said,
it's really hit or miss with people with isekai.
Yeah, it's either you love it or you hate it, and I tend to be more on that hate it side. But that being said, ReZero is really, really, really good.
Oh yeah. So
I try to, given that thought that I'm not the most enthused by isekais. This is a really good anime. The underlying themes are really cool, and just the way they portray, I don't know, the deaths and the restarts and stuff, and how painful that is to Subaru.
Mentally and physically. Honestly, when so after he gets through that first round of deaths of infinite loops, once he hits the next checkpoint, which is in the mansion of Emilia, which you eventually find out Satella is just the name of actually the Witch of Envy. The Witch of Envy, which I don't know too much about yet. I feel like as seasons progress, I probably will find out more about. But her actual name is Emilia, and she's trying to be the emperor. Is it empress? Yeah, she's trying to become the king.
The queen of what, I don't even know the name of the location. What's the location, like the region?
I forgot the name of the region.
Okay. Well, that being said, so long story short, he goes into this mansion and decides he wants to become a butler for her, to stay around her and keep helping her. And man, that first stretch where you can see the character developments, the bonds get tighter and tighter. You started getting invested into the situation, and then boom, all of a sudden he dies, and all of that is like it just restarts, and you're like, dang, that must be harsh. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So that really got me. That first one, I was like, ooh, that kind of pulls at the heartstrings, you know?
Yeah.
And that kind of, I guess, sets the tone of like how they I guess manipulate the viewer's emotions. Like they get you invested into whatever that subplot is, and then they just die in the most cruel way. And then when Subaru finally dies himself, like all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, it's rough. It's painful on the hearts.
Yeah, and when he tries to like fix it and then keeps failing, like it just keeps happening in different ways.
Yeah, and so I had a kind of a roller coaster experience with this season, the first season of the anime, because I really got invested into it at the beginning, and partway through, in hindsight, I realized that it's the all part of the big plan. But I got really frustrated with the way Subaru was acting about just reacting to all the situations that were presented to him, and like the way he was his train of thought and how he made sense of the situation just was like really immature and stuff. But at the same time, you start realizing that he is getting I guess punished basically for
not reacting properly.
Exactly. Acting childish or not thinking things through, like harsh repercussions for sure.
Yeah.
And so as you go into the anime through the season, you're like, okay, I get what they're trying to do here. And when he finally approaches the situation in a well thought out manner, he gets rewarded so well. And I actually really enjoyed that aspect. And as the season rounded up, I was like, you know what? It was pretty good. I liked it. And then I wasn't sure if I liked it because Subaru was starting to annoy me. Yeah. And then I was like, no, you know what? I like it.
And there's a lot of character development that happens, especially in the second season as things progress when that comes out. But,
oh, yeah, for people who don't know, so there's only one season out right now in anime, but Nick has been reading the light novel of it, and that progresses a few seasons ahead. So hence why Nick recommended this to me so much, is because he knows what is about to unfold, and he's like, trust me, you want to at least prime yourself for this. And overall, you know what? With it all being said and done, and given that it's an isekai and everything like that, I still really enjoyed it, and I still would suggest it to somebody to give it a look. And especially if you like isekais, then give it a look. Give it a look.
Definitely. By the way, Beetlejuice, one of the best antagonists.
Oh my god! How have I forgotten to talk about? How do you say it?
Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice. Yeah. He is so creepy, and the mannerisms in him, the way he like repeats specific phrases and words.
My brain is trembling.
And he's just like gnawing, like literally gnawing on his fingers,
pulling his hair out.
Oh my gosh, it's so like psychotic and crazy. I love it. He's probably one of my favorite characters. Also, Puck is
a badass,
the cutest little kitty cat, and I love it so much. It's adorable. So yeah, those are some of my favorite characters right there. Yeah. All right, so that is the end of Mondo Super Duper Anime Report Quest. Next thing up we're going to talk about is the gaming.
Yeah, so
I guess I'll go first, actually. So
I'm going to have a lot more time to talk when we get to...
oh, yeah, for sure. When the main topic, yes.
Yeah.
If you guys listen to our pilot podcast, you know that I semi-recently picked up Pokemon Shield. Actually, my girlfriend Melissa picked it up for me. Thank you, Melissa. And I've been completely addicted to it since, and I'm still playing Pokemon. And nice. I've been trying to build a VGC team, just a team to try to play competitively.
What is VGC?
You know what? I I really don't know what VGC stands for, but I know what it stands for, if you know what I mean.
Oh, okay.
Like I know that's like the standard for competitive Pokemon play. I don't know what actually VGC stands for, though. I probably should look that up. But so there's a new season that came out March 1st, and as the new season comes out, there has been a whole bunch of new Pokemon added to the competitive play, and it's a whole list of them. But if you guys play competitive Pokemon, you probably know Incineroar is back into it, back into the mix. And if you don't know, basically before this new generation, Incineroar was like the most used Pokemon. It was just so overpowered and everything.
Oh, did they do some rebalancing?
You know what? I believe they have done some rebalancing. They've nerfed some of his abilities and stuff like that, but he's still used actually a lot. Like I think the usage recently was about like 60% or something like that. And
I like how they have the Bulbasaur and Squirtle lines.
Yeah.
Pokemon back.
Yeah, no, for sure. I've seen a little bit of Venusaur. Venusaur has been one that and that's a little bit of, if you guys don't hear or wondering what that beautiful strumming is in the background here, it is our wonderful host Frankie over here. He's been again, thank you very much, Frankie, for letting us use this equipment here. And so Incineroar has about 60% of usage right now in VGC play.
Wow, that's pretty big.
Yeah, huge. And there's been a couple other ones that have been introduced, and Lapras has been one that I've been trying to use a little bit because it has an ability called an Aurora Veil. And for those who aren't used or don't play Pokemon, this is going to probably sound like a bunch of gibberish to you, so I apologize. But it sets up like damage buff, like a light screen and reflect screen would put together. And so like special attacks and regular attacks do less damage as they should. And so it's basically you're setting up something right away that would usually take 2 turns to set up. And I've just been messing around with that.
Yeah.
But that's all I will say about Pokemon. Also, what I've been playing is Smash Ultimate and Rocket League. And I've been loving these games. It reminds me that there's some really cool games out there that are super friendly for a beginner, very beginner friendly. But once you get into it, you need some technique and you need some skill to like be really good at these games.
Excellent Pikachu main.
Hey, I've just started playing. My friend Mark actually had me over the other day, and he got me into Smash. And he had an estranged look into his eyes. I'll tell you what, he looked like he was like ready to just punish me. But I held my own. I didn't completely embarrass myself, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna play this game a little bit more. This is really enjoyable.
I think Ridley's too OP.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
See, I don't even know enough about anything. I've only played Kirby a handful of times. And then Rocket League, also for the Switch. I play most of my games on the Switch, by the way. Rocket League has just been fun. Just to mindlessly play with a good friend of mine, Trevor. We just play, and we're terrible. We always go on a losing streak, but it's just a good time.
Yeah, I like Rocket League a lot too. It's really fast paced.
It's so fun.
Yeah.
It's funny. I always catch myself just like jerking my knee or something like that, like as I'm trying to do a boost or like a front flip into a goal, and like I'm just always like, that's how into it that you get once you play that game.
Yeah.
But we also have something coming up called Teardown.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about this, Nick.
So Teardown is a physics-based game.
Okay.
He uses voxels, which...
And who is this guy?
Oh, his name's Dennis Gustafsson.
Okay.
Tuxedo Labs on Twitter. So after the last time Armando and I did our podcast, I was talking to him about how games these days don't have like the greatest physics. Like the graphics are getting crazy.
For sure.
But the physics haven't been catching up to the graphics.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy is completely going the opposite direction and doing basically mostly just physics. And it's a voxel-based engine. So voxels, for anyone who doesn't know, are points. So in Minecraft uses voxels for their blocks.
Mm-hmm.
But what you don't see in the programming backend is those blocks are just points.
Okay.
So this engine, it's using voxels, but they're really small squares. So there's a finer level of detail.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually applied like brick material physics, wood physics, like cable physics for telephone poles, and you can break anything. Even the vehicles are destructible. He's still working on it. Last I saw, he was adding in weather effects.
And so what is the objective of this game?
Well, currently, the way he has it set up is he wants... the goal of the game is you have to set up a pathway to get to these buttons that you press throughout the map in this town. And so you have to break things and make your own path. But the second you hit the first button, you're going to have like helicopters and like guys wearing suits chasing after you.
Yeah, and you showed me a little bit of a demo of the like actual chasing and chase scenes or whatever you want to call it throughout this town, and with those very intricate physics, versus like other games and stuff, and having him chase through and seeing like bullets break through the wall and stuff like that, and him driving through this with the semi truck. It's like that looks really fun.
Everything breaks so realistically.
Yeah.
And fires,
mm-hmm.
they'll actually create smoke, and the smoke will start to fill the room.
Oh, really? Yeah.
And if you break open a wall, you'll see the smoke coming out of the hole, and like
it looks really interesting. It looks perfect for like a Let's Play or something. I would suggest checking out at Tuxedo Labs on Twitter.
Yeah, he posts a lot of video updates.
Yeah, so if that sounds interesting to you, if you already like Minecraft as a style of art, this might catch your attention. It looks really good, even though it has those blocks and stuff. It looks really, really pretty.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, it's time for me to give Nick his homework, his report, and we are going to call it Nick's Video Game Extravaganza. And for this week, Nick is going to play Metro Redux Bundle. For those who don't know, Metro Redux is it's a first-person shooter game that it's not online. It's all a first-person story mode campaign shooter, and it is really, really underrated in my opinion. It's such a good game.
Well, I think a lot of people couldn't play it. It came out originally, I think, in 2014.
Mm-hmm. No, the first game came out way earlier. It came out in
Redux came 2014.
Yeah, the Redux, the 1 and 2 together, basically.
But so Metro 2066 or something.
2030.
2033.
2033.
That when that came out, it pushed computer hardware to the limits. So a lot of people probably couldn't play it.
Oh, okay, I see. And I feel like it's just been so overlooked, even as a console game. Like,
yeah,
during the time where you have your Call of Duties and so on and so forth. Everybody, I feel like during this era, 2010, and I think the second game came out 2013 or something like that. During that time, keep in mind, that's when like Call of Duty was, it's having definitely a resurgence right now, but that's when it was like everything. If you hear first person shooter, you think Call of Duty.
Yeah. Beyond
anything else. You don't think of a first person shooter campaign only, story focused first person shooter.
Aside from Halo.
Which also had an online component to it,
Yeah.
And this one was purely a first person shooter campaign, story focused. And the story is really interesting. I don't want to give away too much. Actually, I need to do a little refresher myself, but it's basically like in this post-apocalyptic world where people all have to basically live underground, and when they go above ground, they have to have oxygen masks. and part of the game is basically trying to survive in this upper surface. You know, traversing through this wasteland and making sure you're looking for your oxygen canister or your filters. They call filters to keep healthy breathing. And what I actually suggest to you, Nick, is when you play these games to bump up the difficulty a little bit and the immersion, because like in the regular mode, like you can you're still looking for the oxygen masks and stuff, but I feel like you have enough oxygen. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
There's a level of immersion when you go up the higher difficulty because one, ammo is more limited, and two, you're actually like sometimes. I remember there was times where like I grabbed a filter and I was just sprinting. I wasn't even shooting at anything. I was sprinting because I'm like, if I don't find another filter, like I have literally 20 seconds right now. Like I'm gonna suffocate, and it brings a level of immersion that is, I feel like not many games get to. So for those who want to actually play Metro Redux, last Friday, actually the Metro Redux, before I go any further, is already on all the major consoles. You know, your PlayStation, Xbox, PC. But as of last week, Friday the 28th, it is now available on the Switch, and we found that out as we were setting up. And I might need to get this myself and play it along so I can get a little refresher. But it's so good, both games, which is Metro 2033.
It's something I always wanted to play back when it came out.
Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't have a computer that could run it properly.
And now you do.
Yeah.
Now you do. And so, those two games are Metro 2033 and Metro Last Light. And the story on both of them, I want to roughly estimate they're only like 5 hours each. So it's a pretty quick campaign, but it has a ton of fun.
It sounds intense.
It is really fun. I always try to recommend it, but nobody listens to me. So with all of that being said, it's time to go to our main topic. And our main topic today
is AI Dungeon.
AI Dungeon.
Which came out actually this last December on the 16th.
Yeah, and so we're actually doing a Let's Play, and it's a podcast-only Let's Play, and you're like, how is that possible? It is because it is a text-based game, so Nick is going to do a lot of reading with his soothing voice as we progress through this video game.
Yeah, and so what Armando is going to do is, first, you guys can download this yourself for free on Android or iOS.
Mm-hmm.
Just look up AI Dungeon. But, so what Armando and I are going to do is we're going to start a custom campaign.
Yeah, and so what is AI Dungeon kind of about?
It's a text-based game where anything can happen.
Honestly, before trying this out, I'd be like, that's all you got to say. But when you actually play it, that's all you can really explain, because it's all up in the air after that. So we are literally going to set up a story. So we're going to do a custom campaign. And for those who have played this already, you're going to see that they have some pre-made campaigns that you can work in, but you could also do a custom one. And we decided that we're going to make a custom one on the fly, specifically for this podcast. And I really don't know what to expect, to be honest.
Yeah, me either. All right, so what we have to do is we have to enter our prompt that describes who we are and the first couple sentences of where we start out. So
we are a duck in Green Lake. Does that work? Does that work for you?
Yeah.
All right.
We are a duck of Green Lake.
Yes, and for those who don't know, who aren't from Washington,
I'll put from Green Lake.
From Green Lake, yeah. Green Lake is actually a lake in Washington, a little bit north of Seattle, that a lot of people like to run on.
We're a duck from Green Lake, Washington. Maybe we're chilling out in our pond.
Yeah.
We are chilling in our pond with our duck buddies.
Yes, with our duck buddies. Squad. And
okay, and then name something that might happen right now.
kid starts throwing pebbles at me.
Starts
and my duck friends.
Throwing pebbles at me
and my compatriots.
My compatriots. All right.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to change the "we are a duck" to "I am a duck."
I am a duck.
There we go.
I think we found the title of episode 1. I am a duck.
Yeah. Okay, we're just generating the story.
Okay.
I am a duck from Green Lake, Washington. We are chilling in our pond with our duck buddies. A kid starts throwing pebbles at me and my compatriots. They hit one of us and he falls into the water. The rest of us rush to his aid, but we can't get him out because the boy is still there. What will you do?
Oh my God. Oh man. I don't even know. What do we do, Nick?
Quack loudly at the boy.
Okay. I like that. First, you got to give a warning shot. Maybe this kid did it by accident. And I just need to say, hey, back off.
Yeah. All right. Taking just a little bit. There we go. Quacking like a duck does not help you.
Oh, shit.
The boy is still in the water, and you are all drowning.
Oh, my God.
You do not have time for this. You dive under the surface of the lake and swim away from your friends, who are now screaming at you to come back to them.
Oh, no. All right. I gather a flock of geese.
I gather a flock of geese
to help me with this young child.
To help me with this young child. All right.
Okay.
So, just processing a little bit. You grab a few birds that fly by and make some noise. The little ones are frightened and run away from you. You then go up to the boy and start petting him, which makes him laugh.
Oh, wow, plot twist.
Oh, yeah.
He finds some vulnerability in him, and he realizes that he's done wrong. Say, it's okay, my child.
Okay. Quotes. It's okay, my child.
And then I pimp slap him. So he knows.
Pimp slap the child. The boy smiles and says, "It's okay, my child." And then you slap him hard on the face. He screams in pain and runs away from you. You feel very good about yourself.
Oh.
All right, well.
You know what? I think that is happily ever after. On that.
Yeah, he ran away.
All right, let's do another round of.
Well, before we go,
yeah.
What can we do now? Can we fly to the moon?
Let's just fly to the moon.
Fly to the moon.
As you do, as a celebration of.
You fly to the moon and begin to sing. It sounds beautiful. Everyone is listening to you, singing and dancing around in circles. The people are so happy that they want more of what you are doing. Suddenly, a huge bird flies down from above and lands on top of you.
Oh, God. Lands on top of me?
Yeah. What are you going to do?
Shit. I'm going to break his leg.
Break his leg.
I don't play like that. You don't just stand on top of me.
Break
That's
the
so
bird's
disrespectful. I'm going to break his leg.
All right. It's coming up. You break the bird's leg, and it falls off.
That's right.
You look at its broken body lying on the ground, and you think, how sad it must be. You don't know why you are feeling such sadness when there's so much joy going on right now.
Oh my God.
What will you do?
I'm just stunned. I'm stunned about this turn of events and how I go into a state of introspection.
Go into a state of introspection. Then you wonder how anyone is able to breathe on the moon.
I forgot that we're on the moon right now.
You become aware of your surroundings and realize that you are floating in space. You also notice that there is no breathable atmosphere here. There is only the cold vacuum of space. Then you wonder if anyone else has ever been here before.
Wow. And then the scene fades to black.
Run out of oxygen and then die.
And then die.
You decide to leave your mortal coil and float away from this place. You see that you are running out of oxygen and you cannot survive any longer. Your last thoughts are, I wish I could just die.
That's depressing.
Yeah. Then you die.
Then
I die.
Then I die.
We haven't gotten the game over. Your final thoughts are, I wish I could just die. This is the end.
Then I burst into a ton of confetti.
Burst into confetti.
Yes.
And am dead.
And I'm dead, by the way.
We gotta get the... You burst into confetti and are dead.
And are dead.
Okay, there we go.
Wow. Honestly, if that doesn't pull on your heartstrings, I don't know what does. I was that done.
That almost shook me to tears.
That I am actually thoroughly shooketh. Shooketh. Man. All right. Well, you know what?
I think that's gonna be episode 1 there.
That wraps up episode 1. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please drop a comment on our Twitter or Instagram. Our Instagram is the Thoroughly Enthused Podcast, and on our Twitter, I apologize.
We're at Enthused Podcast.
We are at Enthused Podcast. So once again, Instagram, we are at Thoroughly Enthused Podcast, and on Twitter, we are at Enthused Podcast.
We'll have things, all the links that we use, we'll put down in show notes.
In show notes, yes. And we also have a Discord, correct?
Yeah, and I'll put that down there as well.
Yeah, please join our Discord. We need to start building our community. And on top of that, if you have any feedback, that's the best place to give it to us. And like I said, if you guys listen to our pilot podcast versus this podcast, you could already see that we changed our structure. We changed what we're trying to focus on and how we go about it. We wanted to make it fluid. We want to make it cohesive product for you guys to enjoy, whether that is when you guys are cooking or driving or, just have nothing to do.
Yeah, playing a Tetris on your Game Boy.
Yeah, while you play AI Dungeon, you can listen to us playing AI Dungeon.
Maybe you could try to replicate our story and do better than we did.
Yeah, we couldn't even lose.
We tried to get a game over screen, but it wasn't having it.
Technically, you can have a game over screen. We couldn't even do it. So let us know if you guys do play it. Let us know what you think about it. It is fun, and now you can see why we're like, it's hard to describe this game. It could be whatever.
Yeah. And with that said, have a great one, and we'll see you next time.
See you next week.